Yeah. Uh, so just so you guys know, I am the gimpy one. That other guy over there is
I'm half donkey. Yeah.
the dentist of burros. If you look at our titles, we have a thing. Um, see, like this one is for him. See that? And this one is for me. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So today we're doing a little test stream before 3:30, just to make sure everything is working properly. Um, Today we're going to be reading our daily selection of Epictetus from the Discourses,
Yeah.
and kind of talking about what we underlined real quick, and then I'm going to go take a shower and be a human. All right. For those of you who are interested, this is the Everyman Library copy of the Robin Hard translation of Epictetus's Discourses,
Yep.
fragments, and the Enchiridion in one book. Good value for anybody interested in Stoic philosophy.
So we're on chapter 6.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I don't read out loud very well, um, as I'm sure you found out yesterday. A hypothetical proposition is an indifferent thing, but your judgment concerning it is not indifferent, but it is either knowledge or opinion or delusion. Likewise, life is indifferent, but the use of it is not indifferent. When you are told, therefore, that these two things also are indifferent, do not, on that account, um, ever be careless, nor when somebody urges you to be careful, um, be abject or in awe of the materials of action. It is also good to know your own qualifications and powers. So where you are not qualified, you may keep quiet and not be upset if others have advantage over you in such things. For where syllogisms are involved, you in your turn can expect to have the advantage over them. And if you are upset at this, you can console them by saying, I have learned these things, and you have not. Thus, too, where practical skill is necessary, do not pretend to something that only practice can provide. Um, but leave the matter to those who are practiced in it, and be content yourself to maintain your composure. Go and go and pay your compliments to so and so. I do so. How? Not abjectly. But you had the door shut on you. Yes, for I have not learned to get in at the window, and finding the door shut, I must either withdraw or go in at the window. But do go and speak to him. I do so. In what manner? Not abjectly. Uh, but you did not get what you wanted, uh, for this was not your business but his. Why do you claim what belongs to another? Always remember what is your own and what is another's, and then you will never be disturbed. Therefore, Chrysippus rightly says, so long as the consequences are unclear to me, I always hold to things, to the things best adapted to secure what is in accordance with nature. For God himself created me with the faculty for choosing such things. Um, where do I go? Oh yeah, if I really knew that it was ordained for me to be ill at this moment, I would aspire to be so. For the foot, too, if it had a mind, would aspire to be muddied. Now, why are ears of corn produced if not to ripen? And why do they ripen if not to be reaped? For they are not things apart. If they were capable of sense, Ought they to pray that they should never be reaped? It would be a curse upon ears of corn never to be reaped. And likewise, you should know that it would be a curse upon man never to die. Um, like that of not ripening. Wait, wait. Uh, um, um, Hold on. But since we men are beings who at the same time are fated to be harvested, and are aware of the very fact that they are being harvested, we become angry on that account. This is only because we neither know what we are, um, not have studied what belongs to man, as horsemen do what belongs to horses. Yet Chrysanthus, when he was about to strike an enemy, on hearing the trumpet sound to retreat, drew back his hand, for he thought it more important to obey the command of his general than his own inclination. But not one of us, even when necessity calls, is ready and willing to obey it. But we suffer whatever things we do suffer with lamentation and groans, and call them our, quote, circumstances. What do you mean by, quote, circumstances, man? Epictetus always makes me laugh when he does that.
Yeah.
For if you mean by circumstances what surrounds you, everything is a circumstance. But if you apply this name to hardships, where is the hardship when something that is born is destroyed? The instrument of destruction is either a sword or wheel, or the sea, or tile, or a tyrant. And what does it matter to you by what way you descend to Hades? By the way, Hades was more of a generic term than the later interpretation as hell, for those of you who are unfamiliar. I just thought I'd throw that out there for 1 second.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Somebody asked on Twitch, is this stream brought to you by a hair gel company? No, it is not. This is not Bible multiplayer or LAN. This isn't even the Bible. This is the Discourses of Epictetus. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Pre-biblical time.
Yeah. This was about 2,500 years ago, 500 years before the purported birth of Jeebus. I am not a religious human.
Wait.
All roads are equal. Wait, hold on.
I think we might be wrong about those dates, but keep going.
We might be. I mean,
Yeah.
that's typically what appears on the back covers of these books, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But these might, be very different.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All roads are equal. But if you would hear the truth, the one that a tyrant sends you, along is the shorter. No tyrant was ever 6 months in cutting any man's throat, but a fever is often a year in killing. That's an interesting thing to talk about. All these things are mere noise, a pomp of empty names. My life is in danger from Caesar, and I am not in danger living in Nicopolis, where there are... Am I not in danger living in Nicopolis, where there are many earthquakes? My bad. And when you yourself cross the Adriatic, are you not in danger? In danger of your life? Aye, but I am also in danger with respect to opinion. What is your own? How so? Can anyone compel you to have? Any opinion contrary to your own will? Do you refer to the opinions of others? And what sort of danger is it to you if others have false opinions? But I am in danger of being banished. Banished. What is it to be banished? To be somewhere else than in Rome. Um, yes, but what if I should be sent to Giara? If it is worth your while, you will go. If not, you have another place to go instead of Giara, where he who now sends you to Giara must go likewise, whether he wants to or not. Why then do you go to Rome, as though it were something important? It is actually no great thing when compared to your preparation for it. So that a gifted young man might say, it was not worthwhile to wait. It was not worthwhile to have listened to so many lectures and written so much to have a seat along with an old man of no exceptional worth. Only remember the distinction to be drawn between what is yours and what is not yours. Never lay claim to anything that is not your own. A tribunal and a prison each of them a place, one high and the other low. But the choice remains the same, and if you have a mind to keep it the same in both places, it can be kept so. And then we shall become emulators of Socrates, even in prison. We are able to write hymns of praise, but as we now are, consider whether we could bear some other. We could bear if some other person said to us in prison, "Would you like to read? Wait, would you like me to read you a hymn of praise? Why do you trouble me? Do you not know what my plight is? What is it then? I'm going to die. Yes, you are, but are other men to be immortal?" And that's pretty much it. I'm going to take a minute to circle things and underline shit.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can talk really briefly about what we underline, and then I'll go take a shower and feel like a human being because I am very unprepared at the moment.
Yeah, for the main event.
Cool. The thing about Stoic philosophy is that one of the central tenets of it is that you should only invest the most value in something that is entirely under your control, like the development of your character, the thoughts that you engage with, and your response to said thoughts, along with emotions. It's very Zen in a weird way.
Yeah.
Number uno is important, yeah. What do you mean by circumstances, man?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I suck at reading. I'm mildly dyslexic, no joke. But I do it anyway. So, my dude, what did you choose today?
I underlined the last couple lines. Some stuff about that exile to Gyria.
You want to, talk about why you underlined the stuff you did and what you underlined? It's something we really haven't done even offline too frequently.
Yeah. Well, like, I usually just summarize it at the end after I do my circles.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, I guess the main theme.
I like,
Like, remember the distinction to be drawn between what is yours and what is not yours. Never lay claim to anything that is not your own. I underline that. That's an important Stoic precept to remember.
yeah, it is. I like that thing about ears of corn where Epictetus talks about if they had sense, ought they to pray not to be reaped, right?
Right.
And then likewise, you should know that it is a curse for men never to die.
Yep.
I underline that too because I think people are kind of obsessed with like staying young and living for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah, I just had a conversation with a coworker about, like, I wouldn't want to live past, like, the age of 80 or something.
Yeah, bro. You know, my grandpa was like 84 when he passed away. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. It's just, it's something, if you observe it a lot, it's something that people seem to be obsessed with.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Looking young or staying alive for how long, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, did you want to save the Taoism article for the Tao Te Ching stream, or did you want to just go ahead and read it right now? The thing that
I only thought because the Taoist stream it would make sense, but we could read it now if you want.
es tu opción, es tu decisión, que no, como no. Okay.
I'll read it.
All right, let me pull it up and share it. I gotta look through my messages 1 second, guys. This
It's being kind of rude. No, I'm kidding.
this was sent to me by somebody who's really cool via Facebook message. We've actually met quite a number of times in real life. I don't know if she would appreciate me mentioning her name on stream, but thank you, because this is something I had thought of for years, and I thought I was nuts. So it's good to hear I'm onto something. Oh shit, I clicked the wrong tab. Okay, sharing screen now. Chrome tab. This one. Boom. Can you see it? Or would you like me to just send you the link and then you open it on your end?
You can send me the link. I'll read it on my end.
What if I made that the focus of this stream? Would you be able to read it then? Let me see.
I should be able to.
If not, I will just. What about that? Can you? You would need me to scroll.
Yeah.
Duh.
Scroll down.
So I'm gonna send you the link so you can just read, and I'll scroll as you read if that's okay.
Okay, because it's kind of hard to see this.
No, I feel it, dude. My bad. I'm still kind of a noob, so forgive me, dudes. Okay.
All right, I got it. The New York Times.
Zhuangzi.
Yeah, Zhuangzi.
Yeah.
So
Also called Zhuangzi because they had different ways of pronouncing the name for teacher, and the spellings differ greatly depending on the system you're using to transliterate Chinese pronunciation to English.
Yeah, was this ancient Taoist the first philosopher of disability? Zhuangzi pushed back against the idea that quote-unquote normal is good and difference is bad 2,500 years ago.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. All right. In one of his philosophical parables, the Taoist philosopher Zhuangzi, 4th century BC, describes a man he calls Splay Limb Shu, This man's chin is sunk in his belly, Zhuangzi writes. His shoulders are above his head and pinched together so they point to the sky. His 5 organs are on top, his thighs tight against his ribs. In Zhuangzi's era, as in our own, most people would consider splay-limbed Shu to be unfortunate. But Zhuangzi, whose work frequently challenged society's norms, sees things differently. He notes, for instance, that Shu is in no danger of being conscripted into the military or pressed into forced labor. Instead, he lives contentedly in his community, supporting himself by plying a needle and taking in laundry. Shu, Zhuangzi concludes, is able to keep himself alive and to live out the years heaven gave him, precisely because he is different from others. Even today, this insight is striking. Zhuangzi poses the idea that Shu's difference, one we would classify today as a disability, is not a misfortune, and in doing so challenges an assumption that has existed in cultures of all kinds for millenniums. It is hard to pinpoint where this idea, that it is inherently bad to be disabled, originated, but in the West, examples go as far back as ancient Greece. The linking of virtue and beauty with normality appears in Plato's account of Socrates' dialogue with Crito, in which Socrates asserts that the good life, the beautiful life, and the just life are the same, and that life is not worth living with a body that is corrupted and in bad condition. Plato's student Aristotle later argued explicitly in Politics that no deformed child should be raised, but should instead be left to die of exposure. Islamic, Jewish, and Christian philosophers later found Aristotle's normative conception of human nature congenial to the mainstream Abrahamic traditions. The ideal form of the human being exists in the mind of God, who created man in his own image. Differences or variations from this norm are to be considered deviant. It is not coincidental that the Bible asserts that one may not become a priest if they are a blind man or lame, or a man that is broken-footed or broken-handed, or crooked-backed, or a dwarf, or that hath a blemish in his eye, from Leviticus 21:18 through 20. In the Chinese context, though, Zhuangzi is arguing against a Confucian conception of normality that, like Aristotelianism, is teleological. I haven't seen that word in a while.
Yeah, I know.
A higher power, heaven, decrees what human nature is, and human nature determines all the normative facts, such as how many limbs a human should have, standards of physical beauty, tastes in food and music, and morality. This view implies that to be different is to be defective. We see the target of Zhuangzi's critique in another passage of his writing, in which Confucius meets an amputee, Shushan no-toes. Confucius is at first dismissive of no-toes, but then, turning to his own disciples, condescendingly praises no-toes for doing so well despite his disability. Although it is supposed to have occurred 2,500 years ago, the pattern of the exchange will be familiar to those labeled disabled today. See John Altman's 2016 essay, Don't Want to Be Inspiring. But No-Toes explains that from the perspective of the universe, there is no real distinction between non-disabled and disabled. There is nothing that heaven doesn't cover, nothing that earth doesn't bear up. It is Confucius, No-Toes suggests, who is really disabled, because of his inability to see past conventional distinctions. The very concept of disability, then, is socially contingent, defined by a society's limitations, not the true worth of an individual. An argument found in the work of several contemporary philosophers of disability, including Shelley Tremaine, Joe Stramondo, Melinda Hall, and Carl Montgomery. Zhuangzi understands virtue as manifested by living in accordance with nature. Corruption occurs, according to Zhuangzi, only when one deviates from nature's path. If nature determines that a person has one arm, splayed limbs, or a hunched back, the person can embrace these changes and harmonize with them. As Zhuangzi says, virtue takes no form. Zhuangzi is a creative and flexible author, so it is no surprise that later in the same work, Confucius is ironically appropriated as the spokesman of Zhuangzi's own position. This Confucius says he wants to become the disciple of an amputee, royal nag, because he looks at the way things are one or whole and does not see what they're missing. He looks at losing a foot like shaking off dust. Royal Nag and Zhuangzi saw, long before contemporary epistemologists, that similarity and difference are standpoint dependent. Looked at from their differences, liver and gall are as far apart as the states of Chu and Yu. Looked at from their sameness, the 10,000 things are all one. In short, the common assumption that it is bad to be disabled makes sense only if we project our parochial and historically contingent human values onto the fabric of the universe.
By the way, that word is parochial.
Yeah, parochial. What does that mean?
It means like kind of backwards. Like the slang equivalent would be like if they're kind of country bumpkins, limited in their perspective, unwilling to look at things from a broader point of view.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
All right. One response to this critique would be that disabilities are bad, not because they are violations of the objective teleological structure of the universe, but because they are inefficient. Those who are disabled are simply less functional, less able to achieve their goals than those who are normal. This leads easily to the conclusion that eliminating disabilities will be better, not just for society, but for the disabled themselves. Contemporary technology seems to have put this almost in our grasp. With the advent of both genetic screening technologies and CRISPR gene editing, we are approaching an age in which we may be able to design the human body. Perhaps soon the new normal for the American family will be designer babies. We may be approaching a world in which illness is eradicated, a world of physical and mental harmony and homogeneity among all peoples. This, many would argue, is surely the stuff of a utopia, a quote-unquote brave new world. The seductiveness of this argument illustrates the danger of the hegemony of instrumental reasoning employed to find the most efficient way to a given goal. It is an important aspect of wisdom, but it also carries the temptation, especially in modern capitalist society, to reduce all of rationality to means and efficiency. In some cases, means and efficiency results in an inappropriate and inhuman standard. To think that we have moved beyond this pitfall would be nice, but we haven't. It is still very much with us. As the coronavirus pandemic began to overwhelm medical capacity in the United States in March, a disability activist and writer Ari Naman argued that the triage guidelines that certain states were putting into use indicated that it was preferable to let a disabled person die simply because it would require more resources to keep that person alive. The principle of granting equal value of human lives, Namin wrote, would then be sacrificed in the name of efficiency. We do not mean in this brief essay to dismiss all of philosophy outside of Zhuangzi. The sayings of Confucius include a passage in which the master is a respectful and congenial host to a blind music master, from the Analects 15.42, and the later Confucian tradition includes the stirring admonition, all under heaven who are tired, crippled, exhausted, sick, brotherless, childless, widows or widowers, all are my siblings who are helpless and have no one else to appeal to. Readers of the New Testament will recognize this as a core value in the teachings of Jesus. In fact, many figures and institutions in the Abrahamic traditions have been at the forefront of caring for the disabled, precisely by appealing to the Platonic view that humans' ultimate value lies in their immaterial souls rather than their contingent material embodiments. But in this time of rampant sickness and social inequality, and given our fundamental duty to extend equal treatment, compassion and care for others, we think Zhuangzi is an important and insightful guide, a Taoist gadfly, if you will, to challenge our conventional notions of flourishing and health. With the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act approaching, this ancient Chinese Taoist reminds us that it is the material conditions of a society that determine and define disability. We have the power to change both those material conditions and the definition of disability.
Man, that was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't expect it to be that insightful, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I should have known better, granted, because, you know, I was a philosophy major once upon a time, but we're all kind of flawed.
Yeah.
Um, hey, Xander, man. I just saw your question. Apparently, Facebook chat doesn't show up on the live stream.
Yeah.
OBS is a little bit difficult to get working. Restream is a little easier. There seems to be about a 10-second delay, though. So if that matters to you, it's worth fiddling with Streamlabs to try to minimize lag time and all that sort of stuff. There is a really good tutorial on setting up Streamlabs OBS, and there's another tutorial talking about how to bring in Skype calls. I will link that next to your comment, and I will tag you, so you don't have to go looking for them. Let me see if I have anything else in the Restream chat. Nothing else in the Restream chat except for that weird biblical comment. I appreciate you, dude, for showing up
Yeah.
and making weird Twitch comments on my live stream. That
Yeah,
is
thank you.
Twitch, and I'm perfectly good with that. So for the time being, dudes, I need to go take a shower and do all kinds of other things because I woke up earlier and just started doing my daily self-care routine, which includes some moderate exercise, and I stink and all that. So I'm gonna go take care of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sign off this stream and yeah, see you guys at 3:30 p.m. So sometime between 3:30 and 3:45, probably, depending on what happens.
Yeah. We'll see you